All right, welcome back everyone to the second part of this course. In this segment, we are going to talk about the fundamentals of swing trading, and it's divided up into three different parts. So the first segment, we got time frame and holding periods. Now, we've already talked about this, but I want to dive deeper into this subject. And then secondly, we have the technical and fundamental balance. Here, I'm going to talk about how you can use a swing trading system based on only technicals or only fundamentals or a combination of both, and then talk about what the pros and cons could be of that. And then in the third section, we're going to talk about swing trading in different market conditions and how swing trading can differ depending on the market you are trading in. All right, so now let's dive into the first segment and start talking about time frames and holding periods. So time frames and holding periods. Let's begin by talking about the higher time frames. Now, usually you'll see swing traders doing their analysis on time frames like the 4-hour or the daily, or even higher like the weekly or monthly. Now, rarely you are going to see swing traders go into the lower time frames, especially not lower than the 1-hour time frame. But this is just a general guide. Like, there's a lot of different traders out there, and the fact of the matter is you usually make your plans on the higher time frames, but entry can still happen on the lower time frames. So your entry trigger might be on the 4-hour candle closing above a specific level, but when that trigger happens, some swing traders like to go into the lower time frames and find entries on the 5-minute or even the 1 minute, 15-minute time frame. And these types of traders, they obviously have more time to watch the chart, and they have more opportunity to be available throughout the day. And these types of swing traders are usually full-time traders, where they're combining a type of day trading style with swing trading. So it's important to remember that even though most swing traders are looking at the higher time frames, they are making their plans on the higher time frames, but it's very possible for a swing trader to get into that high time frame trade plan while executing the trade on the lower time frames. You don't even ever have to feel like you're stuck at one time frame as a swing trader. You're obviously free to do whatever you are profitable doing, and it's all up to your personal situation and your trading style. But the general idea here is that swing traders make their overall plan on the higher time frames, and they're looking for a bigger swing, and it doesn't really matter how you enter that plan. And the same thing goes for holding periods. Now, usually you will hear, and I've said this previously in the course as well, that swing traders will hold their position open for days to weeks, but this has more to do with the plan than the actual trade duration. Now, imagine that you're planning to buy at a specific support level, price hits that support, it gives you the reaction that you want, and you enter the trade. 3 hours later, you have a major news event, and that major news event takes your trade from that level all the way up to that profit target in one daily candle. And when you made the plan for the trade, you might look at the market and say, how long did it take for a move, for the market to move from point A to point B last time? And you look at the chart and you say, it took 6 days. And because of the major news event, this time it only took 1 day. So there's no rule that says you have to have a position open for a certain amount of time. Now, however, you should approach holding time in the same way that you approach the idea of looking at the higher time frames. You make your plans on the higher time frames, and you make an estimate of how long you think this move will take, and that's going to be your plan. You look at the higher time frames and you plan for the higher time frames, but anything can happen, and you have to be open to the possibilities of a trade that you plan to hold for a week might just start moving up to that TP in the very same day as you've entered the trade. Okay, let's talk about technical and fundamental balance. Is it really necessary to have a good understanding of fundamental analysis to be a successful swing trader? Or can you be a successful swing trader with a purely technical system? Or maybe you have to combine both of these trading principles. Now, the simple answer to this is it depends. It depends on who you are, what trading system you're using, and what trading style fits you the best. Now, I can talk about my own swing trading as an example. while I don't trade based on news or based on fundamentals, I do always take into account any upcoming major news event, but I am mainly a technical trader. So let me give you an example. I mark out the levels on the charts every weekend, and then on Monday I might see one of those levels getting hit and I have an entry trigger. Before entering that trade, I make sure that there are no major news events around the time of entry, because I know that during these major news events there is usually heavy volatility and there's going to be price action a lot of times in either direction. So even if I'm right on the technical idea, entering around the time of the news event might cause me to get stopped out before price moving in the direction of my original idea. Now this is a conclusion that I've come to based on basically, by testing my system to see what works. So yes, you can be a successful swing trader being only focused on technicals, and of course you can be a good swing trader being only focused on fundamentals. But I think the best swing trader is the trader that has a fundamental knowledge of macroeconomics. They keep track of the news events and they know what each of the news events actually mean for the market, and they have a good understanding of technical analysis as well to know what levels look best on the chart. So let me give you an example. You have price reaching a level that you marked out as support, and you have the FOMC coming up and the Fed is going to announce their interest rate or whatever, and you have fundamental reasons to believe that if the Fed comes out and increase the interest rate, your trade idea has a much higher probability of working out. So either you enter the trade based on the idea that the Fed will increase the interest rate, or you wait for them to actually announce it and then enter the trade based on that. So here you have a simple approach to technical analysis where you mark out levels and then you look at the fundamentals of the markets and you base your decisions on either what you think will happen or what is actually happening from a macro perspective, and then you have that technical analysis with the levels as a base and where to get into the trade basically. All right, swing trading in different market conditions. Let's talk about that. Now, some markets might be better suited for to trade with specific swing trading strategies. Now, imagine that you have a market that is ranging on the higher time frames and you are a swing trader, but you are a trend following swing trader. Now, obviously, that's not the market for you. You want to wait for that market to move out of its range and start a trend. And while waiting for that, you're probably better off looking at another market. Usually, as a swing trader, you're going to be looking at quite a few different pairs, especially if you are a trend following swing trader. Now let's assume you are trading the Euro USD pair, and Euro versus dollar is currently in a ranging market condition. If you are a trend following swing trader, how are you going to be able to enter a trade on that pair if it's only ranging? So the solution to that is basically to find another pair. Maybe the British pound versus the Japanese yen, GBP JPY. On that chart you might be finding a very nice high time frame level that you should be trading. And then of course, if you are a range trading trader, you might want to be trading that Euro USD chart and not the GBP JPY chart. So if you are trading from a purely technical perspective, you might want to make sure that you are looking at the market that you are trading and ask yourself, what is the market telling you? What's the current market structure? But there's also a different aspect to swing trading in different market conditions. What I've covered so far is the difference between range trading and trend trading, and that's obviously from a technical point of view. But you also have the fundamental conditions. We've already briefly touched on this, but imagine that you're trading Euro USD and you've been trading Euro USD for the last 2 years. Now imagine that for the last 2 years, the market has been in a low interest rate environment. The Federal Reserve is keeping the rates low, money is cheap, the stock market is moving in a nice trend, and so is Euro USD. And you've been trading these ups and down trends for the last 2 years with great success. And then all of a sudden, the Federal Reserve comes out and says, you know what, we're going to increase the rates. And all of a sudden you are in a completely different market conditions. And we've also talked about this when talking about the importance of being able to adapt to changing market conditions. And this is exactly what you need to do in this situation. You need to ask yourself, the way I've been trading Euro USD now in this condition, is it going to be the same going forward, or do I have to switch up my strategies? We're going to talk about this more in detail in the next part of this this course where we look at some actual examples of trade strategies. Now, this is going to be very exciting because now we're actually going to be moving into the charts and I'm going to show you how to actually do this. All right, and this concludes the second part of the course, and I really do hope to see you all in the next part because, like I said, this stuff that we're going to do now, like this is where the exciting stuff starts. We've talked about all the theoretical stuff and now it's time to actually move into the practical stuff. So now it's time to actually show you some examples of how to swing trade and how to apply this knowledge onto the charts. All right, thank you for watching everyone, and I will see you soon in the next part.